Prince Christian Victor of Schleswig-Holstein was the eldest child of Princess Helena of the United Kingdom and Prince Christian of Schleswig-Holstein. He was a grandchild of Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom and Christian, Duke of Augustenborg. He was born on the 14th of April 1867 at Windsor Castle. Christian Victor had 5 siblings. One was stillborn and another named Harald died when he was 8 days old. His surviving siblings were Albert, Helena Victoria and Marie Louise. Christian Victor was nicknamed Christy. The family led a quiet life at Cumberland Lodge near his maternal grandmother Queen Victoria, whom the Schleswig-Holstein children were very close to. Christian Victor was the first member of the British royal family to attend school, and he attended Lambrook, Wellington College and the Magdalen College at the University of Oxford. He then entered the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst. He was skilled at cricket and served as the captain of the cricket teams at Wellington, Magdalen and Sandhurst. He even played for I. Zingari in 1887. In 1888, Christian Victor left Sandhurst and became a subaltern in the King's Royal Rifles. He participated in different expeditions, returning from the Ashanti expedition in 1895. When he returned, he was elevated to the rank of Major and served under Lord Kitchener in the Battle of Omdurman in 1898. In 1899, he served in the Second Boer War. While stationed in South Africa, Prince Christian Victor fell ill with malaria and eventually died from enteric fever on the 29th of October 1900. Christian Victor's death shocked his family. At the wishes of his grandmother Queen Victoria, he was buried in a soldier's grave in Pretoria, South Africa. Prince Albert, Duke of Schleswig-Holstein, was the second son of Princess Helena of the United Kingdom and Prince Christian of Schleswig-Holstein. He was born on the 26th of February 1869 at Frogmore House in Windsor, England. Albert had 5 siblings, but one was stillborn and another named Harald died when he was 8 days old. His surviving siblings were Christian Victor, Helena Victoria and Marie Louise. The family led a quiet life at Cumberland Lodge near his maternal grandmother Queen Victoria, whom the Schleswig-Holstein children were very close to. Albert was known as Abbey by his family. He attended Lambrook like his brother. However, unlike his brother, Albert joined the Prussian army and reached the rank of lieutenant colonel. During the First World War, Albert refused to fight against the British, and his cousin Wilhelm II, German Emperor and King of Prussia, excused him from active service. Albert spent the war years serving on the staff of the governor of Berlin. At the end of the war, Albert became heir apparent to his childless cousin Ernst Gunther II, Duke of Schleswig-Holstein, a brother of the German Empress Augusta Victoria. In 1921, Albert succeeded to the dukedom. The title was merely in pretense due to the duchies being annexed by Prussia in 1866. Albert never married like most of his siblings. However, unlike all of his siblings, he had a child. Before his death, Albert told his sisters about his daughter, Valerie Marie, whom had been born in 1900 out of wedlock. He wrote to her acknowledging that he was her father. However, he never disclosed who her mother was. At birth, she had been placed for adoption with Anne Rosenthal and her husband, Reuben Schwalb, who were of Jewish descent. Years later, when Valerie Marie was planning to marry the Duke of Arenberg, the acknowledgement became very important. During the 1930s and well into the 1940s, the laws in place at the time in Germany were very discriminatory towards Jewish people. Jewish people were only allowed to marry people who had Jewish descent. Since Valerie Marie had been adopted by people of Jewish descent, she needed to prove that she did not have any Jewish descent in order to marry the Duke of Arenberg, who did not have any Jewish descent. Valerie Marie's aunts signed a statement attesting to her paternal lineage, and she was allowed to marry the Duke. Shortly after Albert acknowledged Valerie Marie as his daughter, he passed away on the 27th of April, 1931. Princess Helena Victoria of Schleswig-Holstein was born on the 3rd of May 1870 in Frogmore House. She was the third child and eldest daughter of Princess Helena of the United Kingdom and Prince Christian of Schleswig-Holstein. She was named Victoria Louise Sophia Augusta Amelia Helena, but was known as Helena Victoria. She was nicknamed Thora by her family. She lived near her maternal grandmother, Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom, and had a close relationship with her. Helena Victoria had 5 siblings, but only 3 survived adulthood. They were Christian Victor, Albert, and Marie Louise. Helena Victoria enjoyed a quiet family life and was educated at home with her sister. From a young age, the sisters were brought up to appreciate the needs of those less fortunate, and would accompany their mother on visits to hospitals and clinics. Helena Victoria never married and remained in her family home. There was talk of a possible marriage between Helena Victoria with Prince Ernst of Hohenlohe-Langenburg, but nothing ever came of this. Helena Victoria followed her mother's example and got involved in many charities and organisations, such as the YMCA, YWCA, and Princess Christian's nursing home. She also supported the arts and held concerts at her home. Sometimes she assisted her aunt, Princess Beatrice, in serving as an unofficial secretary of her grandmother, Queen Victoria. During the First World War, Helena Victoria and her family lived in Cumberland Lodge and typically spent Sundays with King George V and Queen Mary. In 1917, the king asked his family members to relinquish their German titles, which Helena Victoria and her family did. She did retain her princess title, but simply dropped the Schleswig-Holstein designation, becoming known as Princess Helena Victoria. In 1917, Helena Victoria's father passed away, and in 1923, her mother passed away. Helena Victoria and her sister divided their mother's charities between them. Helena Victoria became the president of Princess Helena College and continued her work with Princess Christian's nursing home. She often presented the trophies at the Davis Cup tennis tournament. During the Second World War, Helena Victoria and her sister took up residence in a flat of the home of Lady Grace Wagle near Ascot, before moving into Bantridge Park with their aunt, Princess Beatrice. After the war, they moved into 10 Fitzmaurice Place in Berkeley Square. Her last years were spent quietly. She made her last public appearance in 1947 for the wedding of Princess Elizabeth of the United Kingdom, later Queen Elizabeth II, to Philip Mountbatten, later Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. On the 13th of March 1948, Princess Helena Victoria died. She was buried beside her parents in the Royal Burial Ground at Frogmore. Princess Marie Louise of Schleswig-Holstein was born on the 12th of August 1872 in Frogmore House. She was the 4th child of Princess Helena of the United Kingdom and Prince Christian of Schleswig-Holstein. She was named Francisca Josepha Louise Augusta Marie Christina Helena, but was known as Marie Louise. She was nicknamed Louis by her family. Marie Louise had 5 siblings, but only 3 of her siblings survived past infancy. They were Christian Victor, Albert, and Helena Victoria. Marie Louise enjoyed a quiet family life, and she was educated at home with her sister. From a young age, the sisters were brought up to appreciate the needs of those less fortunate, and would accompany their mother on visits to hospitals and clinics. Marie Louise had close relationships with many of her cousins. The family often spent summer holidays with their cousins in Hesse, and she was very close to her cousin Alex of Hesse. Marie Louise followed her mother's example and got involved in many charities and organisations. Marie Louise met her future husband, Prince Aribert of Anhalt, during the wedding of her cousin Victoria of Prussia. Her cousin, Wilhelm II, German Emperor, strongly encouraged the relationship. In December 1890, the couple announced their engagement and were wed on the 6th of July 1891. Though they appeared in love, cracks soon appeared. Aribert was more focused on his career in the military and had little interest in home life. It soon became clear they had very little in common and rarely saw each other as time went on. While on a trip to the United States in December 1900, Marie Louise's father-in-law dissolved the marriage between Aribert and Marie Louise, without her knowledge. He had done this on the insistence of Aribert, who wanted the marriage dissolved. It's not clear if they ever consummated their marriage, and there has been speculation that Aribert may have been gay. Marie Louise held her marriage vows as binding and never remarried. Marie Louise set up her home in London after the divorce. During the First World War, Marie Louise lived in Kensington Palace with her aunt Princess Beatrice. Following the war, she moved into Cumberland Lodge with her family. In 1917, the king asked his family members to relinquish their German titles, which Marie Louise and her family did. She retained her princess title, but dropped the Schleswig-Holstein designation, becoming known as Princess Marie Louise. In 1917, Marie Louise's father passed away, and 6 years later, in 1923, her mother passed away. Marie Louise and her sister divided their mother's charities between them. Marie Louise is best known for having contributed to the creation of Queen Mary's Doll's House. It is a replica of a royal palace, and it was presented to Queen Mary in 1924. It later went on display in Windsor Castle, where it remains to this day. During the Second World War, Marie Louise and her sister took up residence in a flat of the home of Lady Grace Weigel, near Ascot, before moving to Bantridge Park with their aunt Princess Beatrice. After the war, they moved into 10 Fitzmaurice Place in Berkeley Square. Marie Louise's last years were spent quietly. Following the death of her sister Helena Victoria in 1948, Marie Louise made only occasional appearances in public. One of her last public appearances was for the coronation of Elizabeth II in 1953. At the suggestion of Elizabeth II, Marie Louise began to write her memoirs, which were published in 1956. Soon after the book was published, Princess Marie Louise died at her home on the 8th of December 1956. Prince Harald was the 5th child of Princess Helena of the United Kingdom and Prince Christian of Schleswig-Holstein. He passed away at 8 days old.